Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. This is part two of the part three and four of the Minoan culture. And yes, and shouts out to people shouts out to APT for sharing and appreciate y'all for supporting that. It's an interesting what you call it, research that I've done, because it's kind of a little a day. But we're gonna talk about it real quick because this ain't gonna be a long one. This is talking about the Aegean, the fall of the Black civilization. We're not gonna go in depth on it as much. I'll skim a couple of pictures and we're gonna stop it where the vase is, and then I'll show myself, and we're gonna stop it right there because it's kind of graphic on the midway, and then I have to scroll down and we'll talk it when we get to Socrates. Because I'm trying to play by the context of the content. You know how it is because pre-recording on YouTube is kind of hell because they don't mess with you as much. As long as you don't have nothing file, you good. We're fighting that, of course. It's a lot of historical stuff. Yeah, you can find a lot of stuff on YouTube and stuff. I can show you the whole thing about it. I can't do that now because I already done showed y'all enough on my old stuff y'all can watch and whatever. So let's get right into it. Uh let's see. Let's get right into it. I'm gonna pick up the screen for y'all. I'm gonna bounce out. All right. I'm talking in the background, so I'll put it back on to me. Okay, the ancient, yeah. First it was there. Okay. The Aegean. We're talking about the Aegean. This is in Greece, by the way. Ancient Greece around this period. Okay, the Aegean. The fall of the black civilizations. Minoan culture reached its peak about 1600 BCE, was noted for the cities and palaces extended trade contracts using the writing. See linear A and B, its arts and the elaborate seals and the pottery and the notable vibrant frescoes and the decor in place and walls which depicted both religious and secular scenes, including the goddesses reflected of the matriarchal religion. Place and ruins show the evidence of paved streets and the piped water, but familiar the Minoan art has modifies all of the snake and the symbol of the goddess. But in the bull, leaping and dancer, also the mystical significance. So, like you see right here, that's the fishing. That's the Minoan fresco man with the fish around 1500 BCE, and then you got the one right here, the original appearance of the cup bearer from the Cretan fresco of the procession. So that's a lot of stuff right here. He's fishing and all this other stuff. This is the people, or I would say they're the sea people, and then we're going to get into Cyprus just a little bit. And the prosperity, artistic achievement remaining high level in the Aegean area until 1400 BCE. But when the greater centers of the Cretan culture was destroyed by the earthquakes and probably connected with the catastrophic eruption of the volcanic island of Thera, the island of Thera. But after these disasters, only the place of the Knossos was restored at the point 1375 BCE, but the places the Knossos was destroyed by fire. Therefore, after Crete was a second class power, and became somewhat of a cultural backwater, and that's what it was. And that's how the Minoan culture like kind of ended. And that's the research. That's the real history, www.com. And it has a lot of historical stuff. We're going to talk about Cyprus. And we talk about the Eurasian invasion in part 1 and 2. You can see the pre-recording thing, the premiere, you can see that on your own. So, this is like part 1 of that. And so we're going to say part 2 of this is going to be, I will give that to you. So we're going to talk about part 3 and part 4 and part 2, because part 1 and part 1, I just explained the Eurasian invasion. So we're going to get into Cyprus mode and things like that nature. And that's just Okay. Got okay. While I'm talking, okay. Cyprus reached in its highest degree of prosperity in the lake of the Cypriot period due to the increase of the exploration of its occupier mines. There were close commercial relations not only within the Libyan coast as before, but it's also Egypt and Crete, the Messenian, Greece, and latter thing of close from about 1400 BCE. But the Eurasian invasion, we're going to talk about this is Cyprus pre 600 BCE, around this time period, right? Sometime around 1200 BCE, the white invaders from the Central Asia, who had the 300-year earlier conquered the black civilizations in Eastern Europe, invaded the Aegean area, but the cause of this massive migration south and west is completely unknown. That's what it says, completely unknown. That's what caused it. These people of the Eurasian plains were originally nomadic. They said nomadic hunter gatherers, like they always called the indigenous people hunter gatherers. They more than that. They did other things, by the way. But the horse has been domesticated by them. What was their main mode of the transportation? But they did not yet know the writings, so we do not know what their previous history was. But in the Indus Valley will be known as the known as the Aryans, right? The Indus Valley. I just talked about that I think last month, in the weeks of last month, and we talked about the Indus Valley. Yeah, y'all can see that recording as well. And I explained that history. And that history is very intriguing. That's when I first started this run of the historical stuff. And I said, I'm gonna stay on this path right here. So that's what you got. They say Indus Valley is known as Aryans, but in Elam they will be known as the Parni, the Parthians, or the Scythians, also known as the Aryans. In China, they will be known as the Zhao. They were known as Zhao, talking about these people. Okay. I don't know if it's Cyprus or wherever they're talking about the Zhao, talking about the Eurasian peoples, all that, known as the Zhao and all that. Talking about they just known as the Zhao, Aryans. Okay. I know where they're going with it. Yeah. In Anatolia, they would be known as the Dorians, known as the Dorians, but Ionians and the Turks. See, the Ionian and the Turks, you already know that's what they're known as, but sometimes you could say in the Tetragrammaton script where our people should study, they're known as the Edomites. So, but that's a whole nother story on that. They're basically, so-called white or whatever, blood through the skin. Yeah, them peoples. So we already know. We ain't gonna go in depth on that. I already know what they meant by the Turks and then the mainland Europe. Yeah, you know how it goes. And the Hellenes and all that. Dorians, Ionians, yeah. Slavs, Germans, what you got today. But they're a mixture of those cultures in Central Asia. That's a whole nother story on that. I ain't gonna talk about Central Asia like that. That's where those people came from. As mentioned above, the earliest white invaders have spent about 300 years in Eastern Europe, but mixing with the indigenous blacks. Talking about the indigenous blacks at the time, yeah, the dark skinned people of those lands that they conquered, and then they became. So there is a possibility that these people were already mixed race. There was already mixed race. Talking about their Turks. Yeah, the Ottoman Turks kind of, or the Turkish people, they took those lands, what you see today. Their advent of the admixtures of those people. I want to see this right through. So sorry about that. I was in my phone and stuff. I had to look at some about the invaders and then 300 years in Eastern Europe. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The peoples, what happened. And okay, Indus Valley and the other names, German. Okay, I said many other names. Okay, also mentioned about the earliest white invaders have been 300 years. Okay, I said that blacks. Okay, so there's a potential that these people were already a mixed race people when they arrived in the Aegean area. Yeah, they were mixed race, and that's what happened. And those people that he just mentioned, they were, and then that's how you got the look of those modern people of the day. That's why you don't see a lot of people from Cyprus there. They was conquered by another mixed race group. That's how that is. And then that's how the world is based on conquest and all that. They all did that. Released from the Persian capital, the per, Persepolis shows that there's be curly haired people, but suggesting that they were mixed race, but they may have happened in Europe during the intervening 400 years. But the Persians depicted white people with a commonly straight hair. That's what they depicted, right? But the Persian release do believe in the question of the thousands of Greeks and Greek busts in the classical period, all of most perfected and looking pure white people. But these these busts, though, beginning of the same people as they same age, look look nothing alike. But the bust of the Alexandrian Cleopatra, he going into that, and then later in the mines through the later of what more interesting portraying the white nature and the ancient Hellenes and all that. Yeah, Hellenistic period and all that. So we're gonna get down to it. We're gonna stop it at the bust. We ain't gonna go further. Okay, so we got the Ionian man right here. They most people think that's a white person, but it's not. He's a darker skin with that particular hairstyle. Persian relief, but that's what they depict in 500 BCE. That's what they would look like. But they became admixtures later on. The Persian people don't exist anymore. So the Ottoman Turks kind of bred certain people out. That's why you got different names now. So everybody's not the same nations as they were. Back then, you had different people who had their own nations, but there was admixtures of the people. Like the Hellenese, Persian, and the Apadane of 500 BCE, very similar. Of course, the reality is that the Mediterranean countries, both north and south, in post-white invasion times developed populations that were some extent of mixed race. They were mixed race. They were basically mixed race people, you would say, or in the scriptures, in the Tetragrammaton, in the actual Torah, or what you say, the Old Testament. I don't like to say Bible. They would see like mams or some shit. It's a lot of code words in there, but that's a whole nother story. We ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother topic on that. Now it's getting into that realm and where things come from. Christians ain't gonna tell you this type of stuff. I can tell you, and other brothers can tell you. I'm giving you evidence of the historical facts. Yes, I give you scripture talk sometimes. I don't choose to because you got some non-believers on my shit, and they ain't gonna really care. It's not for them anyway. It's for the people that need to hear this, hear the truth, live by what you say, and then just serve y'all correctly. The ones that want to be chosen, the ones that don't, you over on the wayside. I can't deal with y'all. It is what it is. So, but the Gentiles will understand we're telling the truth. We're teaching everybody. So it's not no isolated thing what I've done. So, but the millions of upon millions within whites, Slavs, Slavs, Germans, Turks, etc. Okay, who's presented in Europe and current 200 CE onward, but proved it's too much for the indigenous blacks of Europe, but to maintain any racial identity. So yeah, we're gonna stop it right here. We're not gonna go any further, and that's the Greek Sire head Ryan 400 BCE. That's what they would look like. So we're talking about this period. We're gonna stop it right here, and I'm gonna explain my side of the things. Well, basically, you have a culture that was conquested by the so-called white invasion. I would call them the pale invasion, whatever you want to call those people. They were a mixture of other cultures, like the Asian, how it all started, how Central Asia and all that stuff. So, shouts out to this brother right here. He great work and stuff. You just put it in context. That's my understanding. When I first learned this, it was some years to think about it, but all these decades talking about it, still talking about it, it's relevant today. Now people still doing research and still searching certain things, certain cultures. You get to look at things. I've said it's lost. It ain't lost. Just do the research, and it's out there. You just got to put in the work and say, hey, But they're not gonna come with the Japan stuff because they're part of that mixture of China. But at least Japanese history is very difficult because you don't have much to go on, but there's some history there. The Anu people and all this stuff. Japan has a that historic, but the darker histories of it, yeah. But shouts out to that guy. If he talks about Japan, that would be a whole nother. I'll do a piece on that. So that's the thing about this. But in a pre-record fashion, you got Japan distinctively. But someone was mentioning that. I said, yeah, but if he don't put it on there, but China has the details of that. But this culture is like the Minoan culture. I've talked about this various times on my videos. You name it, man. It's ridiculous at this point. I'm just gonna knock this off, knock the YouTube down just a bit. I don't know where to find my most of my stuff, because YouTube, I have a whole lot of stuff. I can do things and you understand what I'm talking about, but I'm not trying to trip off of anything. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. And just looking at my page for a minute. I've been looking at my old shit. Let's see something popular. Now, the Moors of Germany, yeah, we talk about that. That's the old, but the oldest, the popularities and things like that. Okay, the ancient fights, I talked about that a little bit about them, but a 5 minute video, y'all can check that out. Just go to popular on my videos and then you'll see Indo-Europeans. I talked about that language, the history, talk about that a little bit of Europe. Indo-Europeans. The Black Mediterranean, y'all need to watch that. That's a good one. It's 11-year-old video, but it's probably gonna be 12 years old if it's around. Watch that. That's like a 6 minute to 54 minutes. If y'all new to this channel, y'all can watch that. I talk about I will sound real young right there. So basically you're seeing a whole lot. And then in those European part two is pop, just type in popular. I mean not type in popular, but go to my channel and go to videos and it has it listed like current, popular, and oldest. Go to popular and scroll down. You'll find Indo-European part one and two. That's a good one. I talk about the same people, all that, Hattit and the non-existent of the Hittite Empire and Hattian. Somebody didn't like it. Of course, I had a lot of haters on that one. I had to disable. You know what? I ain't got time for that. And I was in the scripts and all that. It's all good. It's all good, bro. Like I had my little history, scriptures, trying to break down the history and the science. That's what I do. But the historical stuff, the educational part, that's what I talk about, the dark history, the cultures, talk about what came, what, and then you have this research, modern research. It's now, yeah, the live streams is crazy. It was talking about well-balanced current events and YouTube and things like that. So that's what my channel is. It's very diverse. It talks about the ethics of things. So we're going to scroll down past the bust and we're going to go the Socrates, Anatolia 200 BCE, and then we're going to go the Conan the General, where he started and all this other stuff. So we're going to get into that fact. Yeah, so we got 18 minutes. Okay. Let's go with the screen right now. Yeah, the sun's beaming out. Yeah, that rain's passing through. It's going to be sunny tomorrow. Okay. Let me look at this real quick. Okay. The Beagle Marthra, Greek of the man in Anatolia, 200 BCE. That's what this thing's called, the bust of this person right here. And then Socrates or something like that, the original, wherever you want to say. I don't know if they call that Socrates right here, but that's all that he's supposed to look like. But that's a whole nother story on that. But it's very interesting. And Conan the General. This is probably new. He added years ago. He didn't exist on this page. He added some stuff that he had in his he probably had in his research. He just put it on. Shouts out, old boy again. Okay, Conan, 444 to 394 BCE, was the Athenian general at the end of the Peloponnesian War. The Peloponnesian War, who was presided over the crucial Athenian naval defeat at the Battle of the Aga Agos and later he contributed significant to the restoration of the political and military power of the Athens. Oh, oh, okay. Headphones without. Okay, yeah. Add a little buzz feed here. Let me control that. Let me control that. Yeah, okay. Little buzz feed there. Okay. I'm sorry about that. That's just my little recording. I might have to get a new interface eventually. I got to see what the money look like. Okay, the military power of Athens, excuse me, Athenians and all that. Okay, so this would be the guy right here. That's in this bust picture. The scene with the sacrifice by Conan and his family fresco from the Platoranine Temple of Bay or something like that. Hold on. I mean, Temple of Baal, excuse me, Temple of Baal in the Dura Europos, I mean, excuse me. The Temple of Baal in Dura Europos, the Circa is 100 CE, National Museum of Damascus, Syria. So this is somewhere in Damascus, Syria, next to Europe. You know how it up in that area. So this is a picture of this person and his family and how it went down. Very interesting. And then you see another one of him, the sacrifice by Conan and his family fresco, same thing, 100 CE National Museum and all that. So it's the identity. So we're going to get into that fact. And as the consequence of the modern nations that we call Greece is such a conglomeration of different ethnicities, but it would be impossible to identify any one group as being uniquely Hellenic. Thus, the government refused to the government refused to census by ethnicity, thus grouping grouping the all in one. But the accommodation was afforded to the ancient first white inhabitants when in 1829 Greece gained an independence from the Ottoman Empire. They gained independence by the Ottoman Empire at this time, right? And it took the name Hellenic Republic, but the origin of the name Greece is unknown. It may have been taken from the original inhabitants of the country, the Pelagians. Yeah, the Pelagians. I talked about them last week, and the Pelagians, right? Supported prehistory Illyrian invasion of the Balkans, which involves in great a movement of the Illyrian tribes. But from the lowlands of the Central Europe, now modern day Hungary, towards the southeastern Europe and in the Balkan and the peninsula. It is estimated to have been occurred around 1300 BCE. But the numerous Tharsians, the Tharsians name and the Illyria have led many scholars to believe that the region was originally inhabited by Tharsians, who were either displaced or submitted by the Illyrian invaders. The Illyrian were most likely, in turn pushed eastwards by the a lot of people call it Celtic tribes. I'm going to say Celtic tribes or Celtic tribes, don't matter, from Germany in the northwest, according to this theory. But the Illyrian invasion was likely to caused by the Tharsian expansion, but in the east and the Phrygian migration from the Thars and and Central Asia Minor, but Anatolia, Turkey. But the movement of the invading whites and Hellenes in the Greece and the South. But the Hellenes invasion of the Peloponnesians of the large and the invasion of Peninsula White Hellenes. Okay, the Greece in the south. Okay, Hellenes invasion, but the Peloponnesians, yeah, okay, the large peninsula in the southern Greece. Okay, but may have forced the black Messenians Greeks who lived there, the free south, and to colonize the Cyprus and then the coast of Asia and minor Turkey. Okay, okay. By 1200 BCE, the invaders have destroyed many of the Mycenaean strongholds. At the end of the Mycenaean civilization came about 1100 BCE, but soon the presence of these newcomers had caused enough upheaval in the Mediterranean islands, but the southern Europe, so as to cause the original African inhabitants to band together and leave. But though the precise circumstances are unknown, it can be summarized that the more and more of these newcomers moved into the area, their need more for resources to grow. But the natural result of this competition for the land is resource by the conflicts of wars. That's right. As you see in that picture right there. Sorry about that, y'all. My sinuses in my ears, not in my nose, but it's the time of the year. And I sprain. I got some water to clear it up. But the sea people, as a consequences of these wars, were originally collapsed with the indigenous economies and their trade. This general collapse prompted some members, seemingly all the countries, to band together for the head of the East and the South, perhaps to repopulate their former homelands. But this confederation of people of the Mediterranean countries became known as the Sea People. But among their group called the Sea People were the following. So we got it right here in the Sea People. Egyptian relief defeated the Sea Peoples. Like here, I talked about this before in other pre-records. You can find that one live stream with Dark History People. Y'all can look at and find that. I talked about that as well. And we talked about during the pandemic and stuff like that. Okay, the Palisades and the Tigrian, Minoans Creek talks about the Philistines and all that. I'm not gonna get into that. The Cyprus. I'm not gonna get into. I gotta stay off that cord. Excuse me. So we got this in the running. So we talk about Cyprus, Sally's Islands. Okay, we're gonna get into it. And Thera, it's a long read, but I'm not gonna read all that. That's in France, so in pictures and stuff. So okay, let me go back to me again. So I'm not gonna make this too long, but I gotta see what's what on here. So I might show you the. Let's see if it's good on pictures. And not gonna get into the other stuff. Okay. We're gonna skip past the fake false stuff. That's he's getting political right here. So we're going to okay. Okay. Distractions on here. I ain't got time for that. Excuse me. I don't mean to do that to Mike. I had a little tweakage. The fresco assembly, the hall of the shipwreck. This is a shipwreck somewhere around here, and this is what happened to those people. And it's a lot of stuff here. And then you have the fresco and all this other people, and we're going to skim Fertilia, and that's what it was like back then. So yeah, this is the historical stuff. This is like part 3 of part 2 of this, and we're going to stop it right there. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to get into the other part. I'm going to see how long that one is. So we're going to get back into that, and then the Minoan, the fourth part, we're going to see. I want to see how graphic this is because I don't want to go. We're going to talk about the Greek Dark Ages, of course. This is part 4, and we got to the board. We're going to stop it because we ain't going to do it. That's too graphic. We'll get to the ancient Greek sculptor in a minute, and we're going to get into the horse. I ain't gonna get too graphic. And then the fake bronze, I ain't gonna debate that. And you're gonna see the statue again. So here's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna stop where the boys in position. The real ancient Greek statue, they say. I know people are gonna be pissed, and we're gonna stop it right there. We're gonna read a little bit of that. So you're gonna see a whole lot. So the Greek Dark Ages, with the exit of the sea people, right? I think I'm on the cord. Oh my God, I just can't sit properly on here. Okay. With the exit of the sea people, of the Eurasian invaders are now in the quandary. They have taken out, I mean, they have taken it, but they don't know how to use it. But it's is it how or they maintain? Oh man. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I gotta get a new interface bad. I gotta see what's what. I gotta see what works. So I can have some peace and quiet. Oh man. Probably a new chair too. This old one about to go. Okay. After all, these days are literally nomads. But these are the following periods are known as the Greek, the Dark Ages, but the conventual in the time frame for this first period, 120, 200, I mean, 1,200 to 7,500 BCE. But at the end of this period, Greeks seem to have figured out things out, but they emerge as black, white, and mulatto, they said, in society. So it's three different groups they would classify you. They emerge as black, white, and mulatto societies. But and the whites apparently have continued their expansion. That's how it was back then. This is Greece in 500 BCE. This is a long time ago. So we talk about these things, and it says note. We're gonna read this note right. It said note. It's said to be the Greek Dark Ages were the time of the Ionian settlement, but the consolidation into the alliance called the Ionian League. It is also said that the archaic period, the Greek, began with the sudden and the brilliant flash of the art of philosophy of the coast of the Anatolia, but that the first Greek science was devised, but the mission of the school of philosophy, but the Midas and was ancient city in the western coast like Anatolian, but after that being sacked by the Anatolian Carians, was later resettled in expenses by the Ionian Greeks. But about 1000 BCE, if that is true, then as much as the science of and knowledge of the original Black Greek civilization must have been destroyed by the wars of the white invasion and was subsequently learned by the whites in Anatolia. From the blacks there who had a similar advanced black civilization, but the reintroduction into Greece by the white Greeks from Anatolia. So it's the statues that the boys were. We ain't gonna go further. We're just gonna look at these three right here. These are the Black Youth Greeks, 300 BCE, and that's what it would look like. You will see the bust, but shouts to this bro right here. We're gonna go back to me just a bit, just a bit. I gotta scroll down, and we're gonna get into it like more often. So we're gonna get into Greek sculptures and shit like this in a minute. So let me go back to minimize me myself. But you know how it goes. Too many distractions around here. Too many distractions. Okay, mostly marble, bronze were used to the Greek sculpture, although initially the Greek statues were it said undorned or white marble by the early 19th century, but the systematic evacuation, exacerbations of the ancient Greeks and sits in the bright from the plethora of sculptures and traces as modified surfaces. Some of these are still visible to the naked eye even today, but those two the examples of the remaining color and it had faded of a disparage entirely once. The statue were exposed to light and air. Yeah. So it's a lot of reading right there. We ain't gonna read all this, but it just gives you an idea. We're just gonna see it because we're running out of time. So the Bronze Greek vibe, circa 100 BC. I've talked about this before. You've seen this on my pre-records. If you watch the Black Mediterranean pre-records, you'll see these pictures. You'll see I've posted this years ago. And about the charioteer, this guy right here, 400 BCE, you see this a lot in that. But the stuff they added was the horse. That's new. They've had it before. I don't know. He restructured, but he had it. He was sitting on it years ago. But or this is probably new. He revised the website, so 100 BCE. So this is the jockey, the Artemis Greek, I believe. And then these are new. This is new. I didn't have these. He was sitting on this information probably for years and then put it on there and had to structure it. So this is painted in bronze vase in the front of the head of a youth of Alexandria, 200 BCE. This is like the youth or child, whatever, or probably a male youth. We'll see. That's a whole nother story. And then the Greek vase and the youth looking like his lips in circa 400 BCE. Yeah, licking his lips. So that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that like that. It's a pause right there if you're from New York. So. But the bronze statue is the Greek Apollo and talking about the Mediterranean and all this other stuff. So, it gets deep. Shouts out to the brother right here. And that's how they found him. It gets to the fake bronze. Okay, let me back out. I got to see what's what down here. Let me see what's what down here for a minute. So I'm going to get y'all the actual pictures. We're going to pass the fake bronze and all the arguments. We're focused on it. We already know it's fake bronze and stuff like that. Y'all can see it on the website. Go into Minoan 4 and you'll find it says fake bronze. It's realhistorywww.com. And the reason I didn't show you because I ain't got time. That's a lot reading and a lot of debating. I will do that, a whole nother story. But we're going to show you my man that you always see on the pre-records on the Indos European and shit like that. We talk about them and those people as well. See, there you go. You see that? You see that picture? You see this picture? Y'all know it's on my channel. And salute this guy again. I use that. I have it in my files on my old computer and stuff like that. But you always know I've had this on the pre-record. So it's said to be 2nd century Greece, name Minoan. That's what this guy is. But at that time, this is the bust of this person. I don't know if he's Minoan or whatever you want to call it, but cool. Greek. Faustian coin, heckled 16.7. Okay, circa 387 to 326 BCE. All this other stuff, man. This stuff was added. Shouts to this dude again. He was sitting on this information and the stuff that and then you see the Barbados penny. I talked about that as well. And yeah, this is a whole nother realm of that. Okay, so we're not going to go in further. I got to see what's what on here. So you see the stuff that I showed you. This is stuff I was going to skim through because I'm not going to read a whole bunch of stuff that y'all already know. The ones that's new to already been to my channel the longest, and the ones that's new, But we're going to talk about. I don't want to get into the bust. I showed you the Greek buses before, and then the 506. Okay, it ain't much. And then we got these crisp. I think I added them in a live stream. I don't want to get too graphic with the Egyptian history. It's a lot. Yeah, it's graphic. It's graphic. Yeah, we're gonna skip that part. And then the Moors and all that. That's a whole nother story. I got that on a thing. So we're gonna stop sharing for the day. But that's it, for part 3 and part 4, because you can look at this the rest of yourself. It has a lot of graphical stuff in it. You see it's actual history, research, debates. You can put people into the motions of whatnot. So basically we have it. It's a group of people that existed a long time ago and they was conquested, invaded. You know how that goes. And I talked about this in pre-records, and you name a lot of stuff that you see online is like, it's a lot of fabrication, but it's the internet, it's the Western internet. You know how it goes. But you got to do the research. You ain't going to see this in schools. You ain't going to see this in college. They're not going to talk about this stuff a lot. I've been talking about this stuff years and years ago and wasn't popular. Now online, everybody's searching. Everybody's doing research. Stuff is changing around. Culture's changing. So what you're seeing right now in the West, it kind of got to explain some of the stuff. All right. So with that, this is part 2 of the Minoan culture civilization. This is the final part, and this is it of part 3 and 4 of part 2 of it. So with that, the people of shalom to the people of Israel, of course, get the knowledge of understanding of other peoples, of course, the scriptures of Yah as well, and the information. Shalom to y'all and Gentiles as well as guests. Shalom to as well. Until next time, and I'm out.